And here's where the Christian joins the conversation. Take a look at the behavior of Christians.
And then also, the next thing the church has an obligation to do is live according to that.
The Christian Internet reporting. And we are today reporting on the Christian news. Again, the Christian jokes, and we're doing Christian comedy. So let's explain it. What is Christian comedy? Who is the audience? And are these jokes funny? And to whom, if they are? And maybe they're not funny to anybody. Maybe they're only funny to the person's telling them. And that's okay. We'll explain it. What is Christian comedy? Who is the audience? And what is the relationship of joke to funny depending on each person in the audience? Because it could change. Not every joke is for every person or every audience, and not every audience and not every person is for every joke. These are jokes. They're Christian jokes. You can look at a joke. If it's funny to you, then laugh. If it's not funny to you, then don't laugh. There's no obligation to laugh. The laughing occurs if you want to. If you think it's funny, if the joke's for you, great. If it's not for you, never mind. Now, before we begin, allow me to preface by saying this is a Christian comedy act. I am a Christian. I'm a Christian evangelist. That means it's my job to go about and preach the gospel to every creature. Some people don't like the way I preach. Some people don't like the way I talk. Some people don't like the way I act. That's fine. Let's have a conversation about that. You tell me what you've observed in me. And if you think it's funny, then it's a joke. You can laugh. And then we can talk about it. And that's called having a conversation. And sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes it takes place in the mind only. And sometimes it takes place outside of the mind and among other people as we engage in society and communities and culture. As a Christian, I am one thing, a Christian. But I'm also many other things. I'm an Angels fan. I'm an American citizen by birth. I might add also, I'm an Angels fan by birth. I'm a Dodgers fan by marriage. Go Dodgers, go LA. And also, I'm a Christian based on my upbringing, my zip code, also my choices. I follow the New Testament as I can and as I agree with it. And as I don't, I do the best I can. I try to take every opportunity I can to do good for every person that I meet, including and starting with myself. And that's what my mission is as a Christian, is to go about preaching the gospel. That's the good news. That's this. Jesus saves. By grace, grace alone. And hey, look, if that offends you and if you don't like it, fine. That's great. It's not for you. It doesn't apply to you. And if it does apply to you, then super, great. Hey, look, you can always find another book to live according to or pick a movie or whatever. What's your favorite TV show? This is the point. We all live together in this thing called society. I'm a Christian. Maybe you're a Christian. If you are, then these jokes are for you. If these jokes apply to you, then great. You can laugh, we can talk. If they don't apply to you, then you can still laugh. Or you can just change the channel. It's up to you. There's no reason to be mad or offended for no reason. Let's have a talk about this. Let's have a conversation. But this is serious. It's comedy. It's jokes. The audience is Christians. The performer is a Christian, singular, one, not all. I do not represent all Christians. I represent only my own thinking. I represent my experiences. I represent me. Christian comedy given to the Christians. The book of Galatians is full of it. So, hey, if you're one of these perverters of the gospel of Christ, then these jokes are for you. Yeah, and look, if this is you, then it's for you. And if this joke is not for you, then it's not for you. Yes, not all Christians. And then they'll say to me things like, well, your jokes are against Christians, or you're making fun of faith, or you're making fun of the Bible, or you're making fun of Christians. No. What I'm making jokes about is human behavior. I am a comedy performer. I'm a comedian, in other words. I look at the world. I am also a Christian. Because I am a Christian, I am speaking to myself first, to my own community first. I think Christians ought to clean their own house before they start telling everybody else how to live, telling every other church and every other religion how to follow their book. Yes, yes, not all Christians. Not all cops and not all plumbers. Also, not all NFL superstars and also not all NFL ex-superstars or ex-NFL superstars. And yes, we're using the King James Bible. And it's not all Christians. It's only the ones in this joke or that this joke is based on or that this joke is about. And if it's you, fine. And if it's not, cool, never mind. But look, we can always stick around and join the conversation because this is all we're doing is just joking. And I'm a Christian. If you're a Christian, great. If you're not, great. I mean, you can listen or not. But these are for Christians. And these jokes are based on, and these jokes are about, and these jokes are Christians that are perverting the gospel. Their mission is to tell you how to bow down and worship a piece of cloth that represents a zip code, how to show sufficient loyalty to a president of a zip code, and also which movies to watch and not to watch. Also, how to wear your facial hair and which day to wear flip-flops to church. Yeah. And this is why I say Christian jokes, because they're jokes. And look, if you don't think it's funny, don't laugh. And if you do think it's funny, haha. Look, comedy is absurdity. Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's not. I just think it's funny that Christians act the way they do in a society they claim they want nothing to do with. And then they spend all their time acting like they're obsessed with making sure everybody follows their book. And I just think that's comedy. And hey, look, if you have a different definition, great. And then we have this. Christians, all their energy is spent on defending the foolishness and the clown behavior of Christians, or what is the definition of a Christian based on what is the activity of a Christian, according to the New Testament. And it has nothing to do with zip codes, statues, or showing sufficient loyalty to a flag, a president, or an empire. And this is Christian comedy, and Christians that keep acting this way over and over and over again, imitating society, when all they need to do is just follow Christ, and at every opportunity, do good unto every person, and especially unto those that are of the household of faith. And if you're not into that sort of thing, then super. And these are just jokes, and this is Christian comedy. And if you're a Christian, this is for you. But maybe you think it's funny, and maybe you don't. No reason to get mad. If you don't like it, don't laugh. And if you do think it's funny, then laugh. And that's just about all it is. Christian comedy, Christian jokes, and what is the relationship of funny to the joke, depending on each audience member. A joke is funny if you think it is, and if you don't think it's funny, it's not funny. And yes, not all Christians. If one more Christian tells me, yes, but not all Christians. So let me say it first. Yes, not all Christians. Yeah, I know, not all Christians. Only the ones in this joke. And only the ones in these jokes. But, however, I do think might just be a good idea in general if Christians, and I'm talking to myself first, if the Christians could just lighten up a little and take it easy and learn to laugh at their own behavior. But, or not. Hey, it's up to you. And it's up to me. And it's really not that big of a deal if you don't think these jokes are funny. They're just not funny to you. They're just not for you. So if you think they're funny, laugh. And if you don't think they're funny, don't laugh. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. Shouldn't be confusing. But yeah, Christians are really into making things confusing. Haha. That's another Christian joke. Take it easy, Christians. And just learn to laugh, I think. It's okay if we laugh at our own behavior. These are jokes about human behavior. We're all humans. I'm a human. And last I checked, I didn't have a halo or any wings. I'm just a regular guy. I'm a Christian, and I'm a lot of other things. And I'm living in a society that's made up of a lot of things, a lot of people, and we're all here together. And as a Christian, I'm just talking to Christians and laughing at the Christian jokes. Christian comedy is the absurdity of the behavior in Christians, regardless of their denomination, zip code, dwelling space, or where they eat after church on Sundays, or which sizzler they go to after work on Sundays. And then what is funny? It's based on what you think is funny. If you don't think it's funny, it's not. And if you do think it's funny, it is. But the point is, I think comedy is absurdity, and performing comedy is in some way demonstrating or communicating that in a way that reflects our own point of view as we demonstrate or communicate that. And that's what I'm doing here today. Comedy, Christian comedy. I'm talking about Christian jokes. I'm telling Christian jokes. We're laughing at the Christian jokes, and believe me, there's lots of them. And these jokes are funny only if you think they're funny. And if you want to laugh, then laugh. And if you don't, never mind. Now, if you talk to most Christians, these Christians, the Christians, and I'm not talking about all Christians. So, yes, not all Christians. Also, while we are at it, not all cops and not all plumbers. Just the ones this joke is based on, or this joke is about, or that this joke applies to. And we repeat this over and over, and we will continue to repeat it. Because Christians are really into repeating things. Haha. Hey, look, that's just a joke, man. Take it easy. We can learn to laugh at ourselves. I can learn to laugh at myself. Maybe you can't learn to laugh at yourself. If you can't, change the channel. Laugh at something else. Hey, you can just laugh at me. How about that? I'm a Christian. Laugh at me. All these jokes are based on me. And we're talking about human behavior here. But look, as we said, you talk about these Christians, and they're going to tell you the Trump prophecy. Ah, geez. See, this is why I say we're just doing Christian jokes here, because that's what we're talking about here. Just a bunch of Christian jokes. And if that offends you, then it's not for you. And if you think it's funny, then, hey, maybe you want to laugh. Or you can take notes. Maybe you'll laugh later. But there's a lot of behavior out there that I think is funny. I would call it comedy. And because, as I said, because I am a Christian evangelist, I'm preaching the gospel to Christians, starting with myself first. And then, of course, as we said, to any other Christians that want it. And then to anybody else in society that's interested in joining the conversation. And this is a skill I think that Christians, starting with me, and we could learn in our world, in our society. And that's how to just sit down and have a conversation. And sometimes that's going to start with just laughing at ourselves, our own behavior. And there's a lot of Christians that can't do that. They don't want to do it. They won't do it. And then there are those that can. They want to do it, and they will. And it doesn't come every day with perfection. It doesn't start with ease. It doesn't conclude with total and satisfactory resolution many times, often, and most of the time. But it does make up our society, our communities. And I believe that we'll be better off if we can have a conversation with each other instead of just saying, hey, man, that offended me or that made me mad, so stop saying it. Because, look, I'm just laughing. I look at things, and if I think they're funny, I laugh. And if I talk about it out loud, then that's a joke. And whether that joke is funny or not, it's going to depend on the audience member. And it's not going to hurt my feelings if you don't laugh. This is Christian education. Now, if I find out that it's hurting anyone's feelings that I'm telling these jokes, I'll want to have a conversation with those individuals or that audience or with those people or that person so that maybe I can adjust my delivery or my behavior so that I can be a more effective communicator and partner in this thing that we call society, even though I'm a Christian and others that I'm talking to might not be. Because we've all got to share the sandbox, we all have to share the community center, we all need to share society. And yes, I'm a Christian, and yes, I know that there are a lot of other Christians that are not like me, that don't think like me, that don't like me, and that probably wish I would just go away. And that's fine too. The point is, I am a Christian. I'm talking about me. You talk about you, and I'll talk about me. You do you, I'll do me. And in the meantime, let's just keep laughing at the Christian jokes. You can see this comedy being performed throughout the New Testament. The Lord Jesus Christ, the Apostle Paul, and if you want to know what a Christian is, just look at what a Christian does. Take a look at the behavior